as if I'm hurting the feelings of the candle, and I think like I can't do that to the candle.
Oh, danke. Hey friends, welcome back to a new video. Today we're here answering the other half of your questions that you asked us. Today the questions are going to be a little bit more minimalism related, and this time we're going to set ourselves timers because last time we started rambling. Yeah, that was horrible to edit. So we're going to set ourselves 1-minute timers for each of us.
Minimalism. Is there a type of clutter you miss?
In general, I don't miss clutter. That's the whole point of minimalism, to get rid of the clutter and things that are kind of weighing you down or holding you back. But I think I know what this person means by is there clutter you miss, because there is kind of, I wouldn't call it clutter, but when it comes to decor sometimes, I wish like I had a few candles here and there. Or sometimes when it comes to my wardrobe, like bags or shoes, sometimes I wish it would be more color coherent. But then again, I don't need to have a red bag just to match my red shoes or something like that. At the end of the day, I would probably be better off without the candles and the clutter.
It does happen that I miss things that I got rid of, but I would say that if I miss something, it wasn't clutter. Because to me, clutter are things that are just unnecessary, that are lying in the way and don't really serve a purpose for me. And so there are things that I do miss. For example, sometimes I think, oh, I wish I hadn't decluttered that sweater because it was a nice sweater and it would be nice to wear it now. But then that wasn't clutter really. It was just like kind of a misjudgment on my part.
Yeah, with the things that I kind of think that would be cool to have, it's not necessary, so I'm glad that I don't have it, but sometimes I do have the urge to expand my belongings. Tips on getting into the mindset of minimalism despite influences from social media, etc.
Because I think that is very difficult to do because we are bombarded with all those messages that are totally the opposite of minimalism in many ways. So I would say the best way is just to limit your exposure to these concepts. If you do want to be more minimalistic in life, then it's probably the best idea to cut out those things that are just sending you messages that are not in line with what you actually want from life. So that could mean just getting rid of Instagram or whatever it is completely, but it could also mean just stopping to follow those people who always post pictures of their new handbags and cars and all that stuff, and instead follow accounts that have like more mindful content that is more in line with minimalism.
Yeah, I agree. I would say it's really hard to not let yourself be influenced. Even if you try, I don't think it's really possible. So I would also say to consume things consciously. So you could, for example, delete Instagram as a whole, but you don't have to go as extreme. You can just be mindful of who you follow, as you said. And sometimes it's not as obvious. Sometimes, for example, I follow a few vlogging channels that aren't super obviously consumerist, but in their subtle ways, they do kind of influence my consumerism in the sense that when they are trying something new, that then I think, oh wow, that sounds so fun to try something new like that. I want to do that too. So yeah, I would also say just to shield yourself from that.
Yeah, I would say that is related to this saying that you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Yes.
And I think that does not include only the actual people you interact with on a daily basis, but also all the people you interact with digitally or in other ways, like the books you read, the movies you watch, the people you follow on social media. All that influences your character and influences how you think about things.
Yeah. You don't have to go cold turkey, I would say. You don't have to stop watching all the movies that are more consumers, because let's be honest, most movies, there are pretty much no movies that don't promote that, but maybe limit the amount.
Yeah, and actively seek to get influences that are in line with what you want to achieve. For example, if you want to be more minimalist, then watch more minimalism videos, listen to minimalism podcasts, watch documentaries about minimalism, and then that can kind of counterbalance the inevitable contradictory messages you get in everyday life.
I feel like that's totally the case with me when I watch more minimalistic videos or finance videos, then I really get into the topic, and the other way around as well.
Yeah. How do you keep an emotional distance from things once valuable to you?
I would say, I'm guessing that you have something that you kind of want to get rid of, but there is sentiment attached to it. That's how I'm interpreting this. I guess sentiment is kind of like a good feeling or good memories that are attached to the object, and we should, I feel like, remind ourselves that just because the object is gone doesn't mean that the memory will also be gone. But I too have a lot of sentimental things that I keep, so you don't have to get rid of it, but maybe if it is an option for you to take a photo of it, that's something that you do a lot. Or if it's really super, super sentimental, then of course you can also keep it, but maybe we shouldn't keep everything that's sentimental. We should be kind of picky with what we keep. If it's, for example, a gift, the love that that person is showing through the gift is not attached to the physical thing. They wouldn't want you to keep it if you don't really want it. Does that make sense? I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I think people give you something because they want to make you happy. And if they knew that later on you would feel unhappy for having this thing, then they wouldn't want you to keep it. They would want you to let go of it so you can be happy, because that was their original intention in giving it to you. Yeah, I'm someone who gets easily attached to things, and I'm getting better at this now, but especially in the past I was really attached to the things I had, and I identified the things I own a lot with the memories that are connected to them. But over the time I realized or learned that the memories that are connected to things are not in the things. They exist separately in your mind, and even if you get rid of something, the memory still lives on, and the beautiful things that you experienced in the past, they don't disappear because you get rid of something that is somehow connected to it. And if you want to keep something to spark those memories, you can take a picture, as you said. That's something I often do. I think it makes it easier to let go of those things. And another thing that I would say is that I think it's more helpful to think not of distancing yourself from those things, but of letting go of them. Because I think the main problem is not that they mean something to you, but that you're still attached to them. When you're letting go of something, it doesn't mean that you say, oh, I don't care about it anymore, I don't love this anymore. It just means I don't need it anymore, and I can be happy without it and not be attached to physical things, and be happy with the way you are right now.
Yeah, I think the reason why it's so difficult to part from it is that when you see the object, it, as you said, sparks the memory, and so you think that the memory is attached to the object.
Another important point is that things don't have feelings. I know when I try to get rid of things and I feel sentimental about them, it's often like I feel bad about it. I feel bad for getting rid of this candle, as if I'm hurting the feelings of the candle, and I think like I can't do that to the candle because it's that cool candle I bought in Spain or something. But we have to realize it's just a candle, it's just a thing, it just doesn't have feelings.
And most of the time we have more kind of mementos from a specific memory. For example, if going to Spain, you probably have pictures from Spain. You don't need the candle to sustain that memory. How to start doing minimalism seems easy when you have a big family. I'm guessing this person's question is that minimalism seems easy when we're only like two people, or you don't have a family, you don't have children, but how to pursue minimalism when you do have a big family or more people to take care of.
I would say that first of all, it's important not to force it on other people, because just because you care about minimalism and have discovered this, it doesn't necessarily mean that your family will care equally about it. And if you just start judging them and trying to get rid of their things, that won't be a happy family.
Start throwing their things out.
So you can try to lead by example and declutter your own room, your own stuff, and reduce your personal things. And when your family sees how clean your room is now and how more calm and peaceful you seem, then maybe they will be inspired and want to follow suit. But if they don't, you shouldn't force them, because in the end, you can't force your values on other people. It will just lead to friction and problems.
I kind of interpreted this question as the person asking the question is kind of the parents or the head of the family. So with this, I think you can, since you're kind of the head of the family as parents, you can kind of teach your children minimalism. It's probably easier if the children are younger than if they're teenagers.
Yeah, it's easier to set boundaries from the beginning instead of then suddenly throwing stuff out.
Yeah.
Like if you, from the beginning, teach your kids you can only have one box full of toys, and if you buy a new toy, you have to get rid of an old toy, then it's something they can learn and grow up with. But if they have a room full of toys and then you tell them, okay, we're minimalists now, I throw all your toys out, they won't be really happy about it, and that's probably going to be a huge fight.
Yeah, maybe ease into it, because everyone goes about it at their own pace. So as a family, maybe go slowly. And I would also say not to compare your minimalism to other people's minimalism, because minimalism looks really different for everyone. For a big family, minimalism looks really different than maybe a single person. Just start with the fundamentals of minimalism, that you get rid of things that are in excess or don't make you happy, or clutter, things like that. And once you've gotten rid of all that, you probably have a lot less stuff, but maybe as a total, you still have more things than minimalists that don't have a family, if that makes sense. It doesn't make you a better minimalist if you have less things.
I'm not a parent, but I guess that it's important to include the family in the process and not just to get rid of stuff for them, but to make it an experience that they take part in. And so they actually understand why you're doing it, and they understand the process. For example, you would take your kids into their room and then talk to them, okay, let's look for toys you haven't used in a while. Wouldn't it be much better if we gave it away to a kid who would love them and play with them, so you have more room to play here? And that way they understand and are part of it, and they don't feel like the powerless victim of your decluttering, but they are part of it, and it's a project that you share together.
Maybe it's a little more difficult for younger kids, because if they didn't grow up knowing not to attach too much value to things, maybe it will be a little more difficult if it's a toddler who does attach a lot of value onto their things, and then suddenly now he has to part with all of these things that he loves. So maybe patience is really important as well.
But I would say that as a parent, you can set boundaries, and even if the kid doesn't like it, kids sometimes don't like the rules that parents set for them, but they just kind of have to deal with it, and they will get used to it.
Yeah, but don't force your kid to go cold turkey. Try to, as you said, talk to them and go slowly.
Yeah. Hi Sylvia, I'm not sure if this is related, but do you have a minimalist self-care/beauty routine? Your skin is flawless and I love your makeup.
Thank you. I thought of doing a whole different video on my skincare routine, so stay tuned for that. That's going to come pretty soon. You can share your skincare routine.
I wash my face with water.
And that's it. But you use sunscreen?
Sometimes.
During summer?
I used to use a lot more sunscreen, but mainly last year I hardly used sunscreen and wore like large sun hats instead, so I can avoid sunscreen. So I only wore sunscreen like on days when we went hiking or something. But
why?
Because then I have to wash it off, and it's like greasy, and it has all those additives that are not so great. So I avoid it when it's not necessary, and for a short walk outside I can just wear a hat and it protects me just as fine.
So you don't even moisturize your face sometimes, or?
Not really. I feel like if you don't use all those chemical stuff and all those cleansers and
it's not chemicals though, but
and all
some of them.
Yeah, then your skin doesn't need all this external moisture because it still retains its own moisture, because every time you use soap on your face, you wash away all those natural oils.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I agree with your philosophy to some degree.
I feel like often it's best just to let your body do its thing, because that's what it evolved to do over millions of years, and the human body is perfect just as it is, and the more we leave it alone, the better it can be.
Yeah, the thing is that I would kind of agree with that, but that we don't really live as naturally as we used to. So things true. Like the heater during the winter, that really dries the skin, and like I put on some makeup, so that kind of is something that I need to wash off, and like sunscreen. But yeah, I agree to some degree. Affordable vegan clothing.
I mainly wear black t-shirts, those black t-shirts by a brand called Neutral. And I also have some t-shirts by a brand called Living Crafts, I think. But I don't obsess so much about the brand. I more look into what it's made of and what kind of ethical claims they have. For example, this t-shirt is made of organic cotton, and it's also fair trade, and it has all those certificates that it's toxin free. That's the main thing I focus on.
To be honest, I'm not super qualified to answer this question, especially in the winter. I don't wear vegan clothing because this is, for example, cashmere wool, and this wouldn't be considered vegan. But I'm someone that is cold really quickly. So if I wear cotton sweaters or synthetic sweaters, I don't stay as warm. And also, I'm not such a fan of synthetic materials. I'm someone, when I shop for clothing, I shop for natural materials, so either cotton or wool or silk, and I stay away from synthetic materials since that kind of most of the times ends up in the form of microplastic. I focus more on the clothing being ethically and sustainably made. For example, the jeans I'm wearing, they are actually vegan and sustainably made. They are from Armed Angels. I really like them. They're quite pricey, but they're good so far. I'm not super familiar with ethical vegan clothing yet, just because it is something that I started maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and I haven't really bought a lot of clothes since then. I just wear my clothes that I've worn for years. I think like this cardigan is like 7 years old, but it still works.
Yeah, it's the same with me. Other than the t-shirts, most of my clothes from the time before I was interested in minimalism and veganism and sustainability. So I didn't get a chance to buy that many sustainable things yet, because I try to make the things I already have last as long as possible. And whenever I need something, then I do some research online, then look into the reviews. If
I happen to discover new brands along the way, then I will definitely share it with you guys. So this is it for today's Q&A. I hope we could answer your guys' question about minimalism. If you're not satisfied, then comment more questions down below or follow-up questions. I definitely had fun filming Q&As. Maybe we could someday do some kind of advice podcast together.
I would like that.
That would be really fun. I don't know, would you guys like that? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.